Hey, how's it going? This is Stan. We're going to be doing another philosophy drive. Don't know what this guy's doing, so I'm keeping a lookout. Alright, we're good. Alright, so this is the second video on Memetics. Memetics. The last video that I did was Memetics Part 1, Introduction. You must watch it before watching this video. You're forbidden to watch this video before watching the previous video. Okay. This is Memetics Part 2. It's story time, the four brothers. So, there's these four brothers and they live in this town and they can't agree on anything. But they hear this rumor that the island off the coast has a bunch of pirates' treasure on it. And the four brothers decide, you know what? Maybe we need to agree on something just this once. We need to pool our resources together and put together a little expedition to the island and go exploring and treasure hunting and do a little digging, see what we can find. So the brothers pool their resources. They get on a boat, they go to the island, they dig around. It's really hard work. They don't like it so much, but lo and behold, they do find treasure. It's pretty cool. The thing is, they find the work so hard and unpalatable that they say, how about let's take the treasure that we've acquired so far and use it to build a ferry to and from town to this island. And then what we'll do is we will charge folks to come over to the island. Once they get off the boat, we'll have a booth waiting there, and we will offer tours of the island, treasure hunting tours. We'll guide people around, we'll make sure they're safe. They might find some treasure, they'll do their own digging, and then they'll come back and it'll be awesome because we can just charge for that and make money. It's our little money tree. So they all agree to this plan. Second big agreement in their lives. That's great. So they do the ferry. They start their business. They set up the booth. People get off the boat. They line up at the booth. They go on the adventure. They find treasure. Everything is awesome. This happens again and again. Years go by. They are successful folks. And there's a problem, though. The problem is that the island is starting to get more and more explored. The treasure is starting to be dug up. This is a problem because the business depends on being able to kind of advertise that, hey, there's treasure out there. You want to go on this tour, right? Because there's treasure. Island's unexplored. There's unexplored places. So eventually it gets to a certain point where they realize that this is going to threaten their business. And so the four brothers come together and they talk about, what must be done. And the first three brothers, which are Riley, Murtaugh, and Shane, say, you know what, we got to tell the truth. Because telling the truth is good. Like, truth is a virtue. Honesty. That's a good thing that we value and we want to keep going. We like truth. Whereas the fourth brother, Lachlan, says, truth is bad for business, dudes. I'm not going to be doing that. I am going to be leaving this company. I'm going to start my own booth. Lachlan leaves. The other three brothers go, okay, well, let's talk about what we are going to do, like what we're going to do. Well, those three brothers can't even agree on the sales pitch that they want to give. They end up all splitting up and creating four different booths. So when you get off the boat, each one kind of fills up with a line. But when someone in line asks, hey, is there an island left to explore? Is there treasure left to find? Each of the four booths, with each of the four different brothers, has a different response. So when Riley responds, Riley is just like, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, there's hardly anything left, so I wouldn't even bother. And when he says that, everyone leaves the line. I don't think Riley's going to do so. Murtaugh, when he's asked about the island, the treasure that's left, says, well, I mean, there might be, and it's pretty out there, most people leave his line. A couple people remain. All right, well, at least he's doing better than Riley, right? He's making some money. Shane has an awesome sales pitch that he gives. He's like, dudes, listen, a lot of the island has been explored. You take a look at this map, we've explored a lot of it. However, there are a few places not explored, and even the things already explored, it's possible that we haven't found everything there. You probably won't find a treasure, but you might. And it might make you a rich person, who knows? Furthermore, you're going to have the adventure of a lifetime. You are going to be able to trek through nature, see ancient ruins, amazing views. You're going to learn survival skills. We're going to have fun. We're going to sing campfire songs. This is going to be so fun that it's worth the cost even if you don't find treasure. So Shane says all this, and a couple of people leave because they were expecting to find treasure, but most people stay. Good job, Shane. Nice sales pitch. I mean, you were honest. All that stuff is true. You just had a really nice way of packaging it. It's very, very enticing. Meanwhile, over in Lachlan's line, they ask him, Lachlan, is there any treasure left to find? Is this island got some unexplored bits? And he says, dudes, like the whole island is unexplored. Like only 1% of the island has been explored. There's so much treasure out there that you cannot not find treasure. It is amazing. And he tells all these people this, and everyone stays in line because they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sweet. I'm gonna get rich. So, guess who is winning for a while? O'Reilly goes out of business pretty quick. Murtaugh kind of follows. Shane and Lachlan are in kind of a race, money race. The thing is, the first person to certain thresholds gets to expand their business, and guess what? Their methods are the ones that get duplicated. So Lachlan is building more and more booths. Shane's kind of falling behind. Even though Shane only loses a couple guys per time he tells the truth, it's just a fact that lying gets you more people. Lying gets you more money. And as Lachlan's booths expand and expand, his advantage increases exponentially. All right. So that's kind of a sad story. But let's say that when a new booth opens up, the delegate assigned to the booth kind of experiments a bit. Maybe he's not comfortable lying, and so maybe he tells the truth in a way that Shane did. So they're trying some different stuff. Okay, that's cool. We're also going to say that over time, people start to kind of figure out what Lachlan is doing. Like, they realize that he keeps saying that only 1% has been explored, but it stays at that number. They kind of notice that he has not added to his map that he shows everyone. And they kind of notice, you know what? This guy's kind of sleazy. He's kind of giving off those vibes more and more. And he's looking all nervous, like he knows he's lying. Just a bunch of signals start to make people less and less comfortable with Lachlan. In other words, lying worked at first, but over time, you kind of, oh, well, maybe... It took a long time. And he made a lot of money in the interim. And a lot of people were lied to, and a lot of people paid money for nothing. All right. So, we talked about how the booths are spreading, and they're kind of mutating. They're trying different things. Well, guess what? One of the booths is given to their brother Gerard. And Gerard kind of has some issues. Gerard, because of an accident that he had, his brain kind of works differently than ours. And Gerard, when he goes out there and he draws a map, is all crazily convoluted and maze-like. When he goes back to the booth and the people ask him, is there still treasure out there? He honestly thinks that there is. And he tells them that. In other words, he is telling the truth as he perceives it, even though he is saying something that's false. And he does it really convincingly because he's convinced of it. And the people look at his map and they're like, whoa, this island is kind of messed up. And he's like, yeah, isn't it? But as you can see, I'm adding to it every day. We're figuring it out. And everyone's like, huh, okay, yeah, sure, I guess. Sure, I guess it's just a really weird island. So guess what? Gerard is doing awesome. Gerard is going years and years without losing a single customer because his sales pitch is so genuine and heartfelt, and he's adding to his map. And so he's not suffering the problem that Lachlan had, where Lachlan is kind of lying, and you can kind of figure out that he's lying over time. You can look at his map and see that it's not being developed, that kind of thing. So when we look at institutions in our lives, when we look at philosophies, like schools of philosophy, when we look at religions, when we look at corporations and companies, when we look at political parties, when we look at ideologies, ethos sets that are kind of like quasi-religious. When we look at all of this stuff, you got to look for patterns that might be deleterious in terms of truth, but good for virulence and resilience, as we talked about in the last video. I mean, that's what we're talking about with this Four Brothers example. We're talking about resilience, ability to make money and stick around, and virulence, the ability to spread your company. And we notice that at first, Lachlan is viral and resilient by lying. So in other words, like, he sticks around and his company expands not because he's telling the truth, but because he's lying. Now, over a long period of time, eventually folks start to figure out that he's lying and they kind of revolt. But then, where do they head? They don't automatically jump back to Shane, which is dressed up truth. They jump over to Gerard, who is kind of loony. He's kind of, his stuff's ambiguous. It's intractable. It's maze-like. It doesn't make that much sense, but it half does make sense. It makes enough sense to be stimulative, and it is conveyed in a heartfelt way. And so when we look at various institutions, we should look and we should say, okay, how many Lachlans are here sustaining this business, or sustaining this organization? It doesn't have to be a business. How many Gerards are here? And how much treasure is there actually out there? Because it's possible that when we look at an organization, it's early on in that island timeline, and there's plenty of treasure left to do. And all four brothers can be united, even if there's Lachlans in there, and Gerards. There's also Shane's, Murtaugh's, and Riley's that we can, listen to and say, oh, okay, you're conveying that in a terrible way, but the treasure's there. Like, I think the treasure's there. I have no reason to believe that it's not. Anyway. So, my task for you, my homework, I'm going to start giving you homework. My homework is to keep an eye out for these patterns. Remember that memetic action, resilience, and virulence is what matters. Truth kind of goes by the wayside. Making sense can kind of go by the wayside. And if you and I care about truth and making sense, which I'm sure we do, then we got to watch out for the Garys and the Lachlans and be a little forgiving of the Rileys and the Murtaughs. And, yeah. So, four brothers. Yeah, that's it. See ya.